I do think when you're in your 30s, you're at kind of that awkward age where you can go with somebody's son or the father. You can still dabble with the late 20s, or just as easily you can go up to 50. I suppose it's a glorious age. Hi loves, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Love What Luck. How are we all doing? I'm still on a high. I'm just back into recording. If it's your first time listening, I took a few weeks off and it just feels so good. I'm so excited to be back. And today I want to talk about decision making in your 30s, because I feel like me and my friends at the minute, we're all kind of in the same boat where it feels like we've got these decisions to make, but it feels like every one we make is going to be for the rest of our lives. Like whatever decision we choose is going to shape the rest of our lives. And don't get me wrong, there is some truth in that, obviously. But I think when you have that thought, it also brings a lot of stress. And when I was thinking about it this week, I was like, me and my friends, we feel in the same boat, but we're all in completely different stages of our lives. So I kind of feel like it might not necessarily be a personal thing, and it might just be women, probably especially our age, like when you're in your 30s. I just think decision making feels a little bit heavier and a little bit harder. And I saw this story, which I'm going to share with you all in a second, which I felt like was just really nice and uplifting, kind of lifted the stress a little bit. And me and my friend Renee at the minute, our favourite TikToks to send each other are, do you know, like the ones where they're basically trying to say that life isn't that serious. And it's the ones where it's like, divorced my husband at 35, met the love of my life at 36, now I'm pregnant. And it's basically like all these stories that kind of go against the grain and kind of against the standard. And sometimes I just feel like we all need some of those reminders that by the time you're 30, you don't have to have everything figured out. And yes, the decisions you make, obviously, they do path your future, obviously. But you can never plan forever. And sometimes you can make a decision and a year down the line, what you've chosen is completely fallen apart anyway. And I think there's some comfort in that. At the minute, it kind of feels like every decision that we make has to be strategic and not spontaneous. And I miss the unseriousness of it all, you know? I think another reason that decisions in your 30s feels harder is because you feel like you've got much more to lose. You've probably already built your life in some capacity, haven't you? You're already into your career. You've already probably settled somewhere. You've been living somewhere for a little while. And it kind of feels like you've been building up to that moment. Like, especially for me, I always wanted to live in London. That was just like my number one thing as soon as I graduated. So then obviously now that I'm here, and I suppose it's the same, like if you always wanted to get married, you know, before you were 30, or if you always wanted to get married full stop, or if you always wanted to buy a house, you know, like if you have those goals, you obviously work towards them. And then, you know, same like with a job, if you've always wanted to become like, you know, the boss. I'm trying to think of a specific thing. A manager, that's what I should have said. A manager or a director in your company. You work towards it. So then it's kind of like when you've got the goal, it's kind of like what people always say. Sometimes when you reach a goal, you're like, shit, does this make me happy? And also sometimes then I think it feels harder to pivot from it. Because you're like, well, I'm here now. I can't just leave. I couldn't possibly pivot. Well, I'm here to tell you that obviously you can. And I think it just needs to be a little bit more normalized. Sometimes things just don't feel right. And I think it's okay to admit that you can picture how something is in your head and get there, and it's not like that. It's okay to really want to be married and then have your wedding and 2 years down the line think, maybe this wasn't the right decision. Or you can picture it and it's like that for a few years, but you can't stay in the same place all the time. I just don't think it's natural for us. And I just think that when you're in your 20s, you've just got a different mindset where you break up with people easier. I mean, generally you're not getting married. I know plenty of people do, but no chance I can relate to that. But I just think when you're in your 20s, you feel like you've got much more time, so you're just like a little bit more reckless. But when you're in your 30s, it's really not that different. Like, you've still got so much time and you can still pivot at any time. Renee always says you need to watch Desperate Housewives. I've seen some episodes, obviously, but I haven't like sat down and really binged the series ever. So if you watch it, let me know which one I should tune into. But she says like you need to watch it. She was like, you need to realize that things not that serious. Like, these women are in their 50s or older and they divorce, they go into jail, and they like obviously off the handles. I'm not saying that that's something that, you know, you should want, but I just feel like it proves that you can plan your life and head one way, and then it can all go tits up anyway. And I don't know, I just think that's kind of freeing. Also, comparisons in your 30s. I feel like generally, again, it can be a little bit younger, but generally when you start hitting your 30s, early to late 30s, that's when you're seeing all the engagements, the marriages, the pregnancies. And I don't know if men feel like this, but certainly women do. They're always kind of goals, or I don't know. I'm not going to go into it, but we know how much we're fed that that's like the number one thing that you should want in life is like the marriage and the babies, wherever. And obviously now so many people are not deciding that, which I think is really good that, you know, we're in a place where that's a bit more normalised. But say you do want that, like I want that, in your 30s is really when you start to see it all the time. This summer, I think, was the summer of engagements. They were, again, or is it just my age? I don't know, because people used to say this and I never really related. But I think now I'm at the age and I'm following people more my age. My best friend got engaged as well. Obviously, she's not included in this. I'm super, super happy for her. Well, I'm happy for everyone that gets engaged. But that's just, I think, when it starts hitting home, like, wow, people are buying houses now. And then I think it's the comparison where you're like, shit, well, should I be buying a house? And that's just natural anyway. I think it's natural for anything. Like, have you noticed when friends go out together, sometimes they dress similar? You know, it's a typical thing, like, what are you wearing? Jeans and a top? Okay, I'll wear my jeans and my top. Oh, you're wearing that? Okay, I'll wear something to match. Like, it's just what you do. It's really strange. But I feel like comparison hits a lot harder in your 30s. So then that means also your decisions are harder. You're like, shit, well, everyone's getting married, so I suppose I need to be getting married now. So I'm going to go on the dating apps and I'm going to put myself out there, when really that might not actually be what you want. It kind of makes you question your choices. Like, there's that thing, isn't it, where some people are getting engaged or buying a house forever, and then other people are in Bali. What's interesting is, I also think that the person, say, that is married with the kids in the house will probably be looking at the person in Bali traveling and thinking, shit, I wish I'd done that. You know, like, you just can't escape it. There's always a comparison. There's always going to be that hard day when you're with your kids, and then you look at somebody, a Pilates princess, driving around, you know, having like the life of Riley, and I'm sure you're thinking, oh God, shit, I wish I could have that today. It's just part of life, isn't it? And then also, I think another reason decisions are hard in your 30s is that you know yourself better. So then I feel like if you make a wrong decision, it's much more frustrating. So you're like, oh my God, I knew I wouldn't want to do this. I knew. And those things are really good to guide us. Obviously, you learn from everything and they can really help decision making in the future. Like, that's obviously a blessing. But yeah, if you get it wrong, I feel like you're much more then critical of yourself and full of regret. And then also, I think with that comes a bigger pressure of getting things right, because you know the consequences already of getting it wrong. It's like the saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. But for yourself. Anyway, let me read you this week's story, which I think will help anybody that's feeling a little bit of pressure at the minute. Okay, she says, I finalised my divorce over Zoom in front of the Eiffel Tower, and it was pink that night. After a year of searching, I renovated my dream Parisian apartment, and I bumped into my upstairs neighbour, and we ended up falling in love. We're now engaged. I wrote 2 books and fulfilled my lifelong dream of becoming a New York Times best-selling author. I made a soulmate friend at a flea market, and we realised we even share a birthday. And I was experiencing career success beyond my wildest dreams. I've been able to share France with everyone I love as they have come to visit me, and we've made such special memories together. Then she said, this was me 6 years ago after I'd cried so hard every day because my entire world was falling apart. And then there's a picture of her puffy-eyed crying. And then she says, In retrospect, my life falling apart was actually the beginning of it falling into place. And I just love that. I just think that things can change in an instant. And I always do think as well that when you're going through a breakdown, it's right before the breakthrough. Also, if you have a clear idea ultimately of what you want in the future, or even a clear idea of things that you don't want, I think you can make the small decisions based on that. You know, like that should kind of just be in the back of your head and kind of help make you take the next step. But I do think it's really freeing and powerful to kind of just let go a little bit and have some faith in the unknown. And you know, this also comes down to self-trust, which I feel like I mentioned in earlier episodes, where I really think like if you trust yourself and if you're confident and you know you really care for yourself, and yeah, basically just if you trust yourself, then you're gonna trust that you were making the right decision. Sometimes I just don't think we listen to ourselves enough, or especially me. Like I really listen at the end. Like I hear it first, but sometimes it just takes me a while to act on it. But I always just think, yeah, your intuition will never guide you wrong. Also, at some point, you just need to trust that you can handle whatever comes anyway. That's another thing. You know, like some people are really afraid of heartbreak. You're afraid of getting hurt. But I think if you trust in yourself that even if you do get hurt, you'll be okay, then that also gives a little bit of confidence in your decision making. This summer, Paige Lorenz, don't know if you know, so basically, I have a feeling fiance now is called Tommy Paul, but I don't know. But he's a tennis player, and she said the other day that he gave her free tickets to watch her in the US Open. I mean, slay. And so she was like, yeah, okay, took them. 3 years later, they're engaged. I actually love the whole tennis wag vibe. I went to Wimbledon this year for the first time. Oh my God, I absolutely loved it. I was so excited just for the day, like just to be there. I feel like it's such an iconic place. And I got so lucky to get tickets. Like you have to enter a ballot, and I entered for the first time and I got the tickets for the final, the men's singles final. Like wild. Although I literally, you can take your own Prosecco or champagne in, which amazing. I'm sure they're going to stop it though, because they stopped one of the matches because somebody popped the cork onto the field. As they were playing, I didn't do, so, well, they were playing, but I didn't do it. Obviously, you don't pop it like when they're actually hitting, because it's dead silence, yeah. But in the break, where like, you know, they break the serve or whatever, and then they go and sit down, people start popping them then. I don't know if it was the heat, right? But you know when you when you take a cork off a bottle and it's got that wire, and usually I unpick that wire, I take the wire off, and then you've really got to like pop the cork, haven't you? Not in Wimbledon. I unpicked the thing. Obviously, it's not dead silent because it's a little bit of a break, but it's still quite quiet, you know? Because it's not long before they back in, you know, shooting, hitting, whatever. I undid the wire before I even had a chance to get it off. I don't know what happened. The whole thing flew. The cork hit the roof, bounced off there and hit the woman in front of me. I was so embarrassed. Not like when people are looking, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with myself. The girl in front had absolutely zero sense of humour. I was like, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. She didn't even turn around and look at me to say like, it's okay. And to be fair, it might not have been okay for her, but you know, I guess we're just very different people. Like that shit could have hit me in the face, and if somebody's apologising and it was an accident, I'm still going to be like, it's okay, when it's clearly not. She wouldn't even turn around, and she kept like touching her back like this. I don't know. It did not mark. But obviously, you know, it went off with force. I've never seen anything like it. Horrendous. Anyway, apart from that, it all went perfect. But the tennis wags, oh my God, I just feel like they've got it together. It's such an elegant, nice sport. You know, I've been to many football games now, and the crowd there, I just can't get on board with it. They're so aggressive and rude, and the wanker sign is thrown about left, right, and centre. Like, I like using it as much as the next person, but not to abuse somebody as they do when they work. There's kids there, they don't care, they swearing in front of the kids. It's just savage. I think I told you last time I went to a game. Actually, this might have been during my sabbatical. I went to a football game, Man U, I think it was. No, anyway, wherever. That part's not important. I went to a football game, right? There was an old man in front of me. I have said this story on TikTok. I think that's why I'm getting deja vu. But basically, there was an old man in front of me, and as I described him, somebody that I would have given my seat up on the tube for, just like, he was an old fellow, right? I thought, nice, what a lovely guy. Like, he's out here, watching his team. No, within 10 minutes, he's giving it a wanker sign. I was like, sir, please. I thought like older men were meant to be more gentlemanly, and I thought it was just like this generation that were dicks. No, not in the football crowd. So yeah, I mean, football wag. Not that I've even had the choice, guys. I've never been proposed to by a footballer before. But puts you off. Now, tennis wag, that I could get on board with. Anyway, so I was talking to my friend about this. Obviously, we were joking. I was like, I'm just going to look at the... This is low-key embarrassing. I was like, I'm just going to look at the tennis. There's like this tennis website, I can't remember what it's called, where like everyone, like how they say, he's the number 3 in the world. It's that. So I was like, let me just see who's on there. Let me see what schmoozing I need to be doing in Wimbledon. Let's get there. Guys, they're all in their 20s. How could I forget that athletes now, I'm literally the age of the retired athletes. I'm past the wag era, even if I wanted to be one. Like, it's gone. The ship has sailed for me, guys. They're all retired. Now all you're looking at is people that almost made it pro, aka every man you've ever spoken to, or the retirees, which, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not the same, is it? To be fair, though, it might be a bit better, but it comes with disadvantages, I suppose. But yeah, in your 30s, you can't be a tennis wag. You can't, unless you're going to be a cool one. So yeah, that was a real harsh dose of reality there, actually. Like there's some moments in life when you realise you've aged. That was one of them. I was like, wow, I wish I was into tennis when I was in my 20s. I do think when you're in your 30s, you're at kind of that awkward age where you can go with somebody's son or the father. You can still dabble with the like late 20s. I personally wouldn't. Or just as easily, you can go up to 50. I suppose it's a glorious age. You can really go either way. Actually, I was talking about this to my friends the other day, how like interesting it is, how money motivated some people are. And basically I saw in the paper, she was Prince Harry and Prince William's cousin. She's a Spencer. So obviously she was related to Diana's side. And obviously she must be rich anyway. So it can't just be like a gold digger thing. But she's with a 66-year-old billionaire. Like, no judgment, but I suppose judgment. Yeah, like, she's probably a bad example because she's obviously not a gold digger. But you obviously do see, young people with much older people for money, power, fame. I mean, each to their own, but I fear I draw the line at 66. I just can't imagine it. I can't imagine bringing him to my friends and family and like telling them that he's the one. And bless, I can just imagine them all like really trying to get behind, and trying to be nice. But I just can't imagine it. Do you know what though? And this is very probably sexist of me to say, I do love the older woman, young man vibe. That makes me sexist. I don't care. Men have enough. I just like that power battle, Again, not that I could be part of it. I couldn't even date somebody who's 30, I don't think. I'm older, but not like old man. I don't want a pensioner, but I do need somebody at least late 30s. For me, I think mid 30s is the youngest I can go. Make of that what you will. Okay, let's go into a story that I've got from one of you guys this week. And again, if you have anything to share, a story, a funny date story, a heartbreak, happy, wherever you've been up to, even if it's literally just a short little DM, then please send it in. I'm at Sadie Maltby at loveotluck, or you can email me sadie@loveotluck.com. We love to hear them all, guys. Okay, she says, so I was seeing this guy for like 8 months. Let's call him Dan. He wasn't perfect, but you know when someone just feels like your person. I'm going to have a hot take there. I do kind of think that when somebody feels like your person, they also should feel perfect, especially 8 months in. That is a hot take, and I know nobody's perfect, but I kind of feel like if you're early on saying, even though 8 months is a long time to be fair, but you know, if you're looking at somebody and thinking, oh, he's not perfect, but I love him, I don't know, I think you need to read into that and make sure that you're not just falling for lust and you're not just ignoring red flags. You feel me? That's just a little point here. Anyway, we did all the cliche stuff, late night phone calls, Sunday walks. I even met his mum. She gave me a plant. That's cute. Then one day, out of absolutely nowhere, he tells me he needs space. I'm thinking, okay, like a few days, a week. No. This man vanishes. Ghosts. No call, no message, nothing. Just disappeared. Took his Spotify password with him too. Honestly, it was savage. Do we think that's more of a man thing or a woman? I do think women probably, again, hot take, probably care a little bit more about other people's feelings. So probably don't want to hurt somebody, so maybe ghost. But I just can't ever imagine a woman ghosting a relationship. I know it happens, I absolutely know it does, but generally, I feel like it's a man thing, is it? I just feel like they just switch things in their brains. They switch things on and off because they don't deal with stuff emotionally, do they? They just run away from stuff. Anyway, sorry, she says, I was gutted. I was dissecting every text with my friends, listening to sad playlists like I was in a film, you know the drill. But the wildest thing, the heartbreak cracked something open in me. I started doing stuff just for me. I booked a solo trip, I got into running, I even joined a pottery class. Cute. Turns out I actually like being alone. I stopped chasing someone to choose me and started choosing myself. I know it's cringe, but it's true. Love that. This is the thing that people always tell you that you need to do. You know, if you go through a breakup, this is it. So that by the time you do meet somebody else, you're not going to fall or settle for anything because you're so okay by yourself. Like, that's goals. Fast forward to this weekend, a year since he left, I bumped into Dan at a bar. He tried to do that whole, you look amazing, I've been thinking about you. I roll, of course. But I swear to God, I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness. Just a quiet little peace. Love that. You go, that is actually goals. That is the goals of bumping into an ex. Surely that is the one. You're out at a bar, so you're dressed up. You see him. He's saying, I'm still thinking about you wherever, and you feel nothing. Like, you've actually completed bumping into your ex there. Actually, let's do that as question of the week. So please make sure you're following the Instagram at Sadie Maltby at loveotluck. Obviously, the at Sadie Maltby one's got a little bit more personal things. The at loveotluck's more podcast. But on both of them, I'm going to put the question of the week this week and ask, in what scenario have you bumped into your ex? Because I think this can be really juicy and really interesting. I don't think I've ever... Oh my God. No, before I even finish my sentence, what was I thinking? I have absolutely bumped into an ex. Weirdly, all of my bumping into an ex stories is all the same ex. In terms of like my friend bumped into him, he's seen me but hasn't said anything, but I've never seen him. I don't know, I was given a bit of Joe from you, but I don't think so. Let's hope not. But yeah, so that's what I mean. I think that like I actually haven't bumped into exes. Touch wood. I think that's pretty lucky, isn't it? Because I, as much as it's like goals with I think generally I'd rather not. Unless, I am actually still interested in you and you're interested in me, but that's a different thing. But yeah, oh God, when I bumped into an ex. So me and my ex had broken up, and then I was with the boyfriend after him. Like, a lot of time had passed. I think maybe even like a year or something. So I was out with also my now ex, but my boyfriend at the time. And yeah, we were in a bar and he was there, my ex was there, and he wanted to talk to me, and my boyfriend wouldn't let me talk to him, and it just caused actually so so much drama, more drama than I ever want in my life actually. For somebody that kind of wants to stay away from drama, that was a very dramatic night. Like, there were lots of people getting involved. It wasn't like arguing or fighting or anything, but it was just like, yeah, it was just a clash. I do think actually, as much as I can understand my boyfriend at the time not wanting me to speak to my ex, I also kind of think like I bumped into this guy for the first time in however long. Obviously, I'm with somebody else, and I just don't actually think there would have been any. I basically don't think there would have been anything wrong with talking to him. And I think if I had just gone up and said, "Hey, how are you?" and we'd had a conversation, I think it would have just diffused a lot of stuff. Instead, it just made even more drama between two men. Anyway, hopefully your stories are a little bit more light-hearted, but yeah, come and let me know. Sadie at Love.Lack or send me a DM on Instagram. Okay, and now for our new segment, all in or fold. So guys, you have to get involved in this, okay? In the comments or wherever, send me a message, okay? Here we go. Also, if you've got any ideas for these questions, then send me those as well, and we'll ask them on you. Okay, so let's close our eyes. Let's imagine, let us lock into this scenario, okay? Picture the scene. You're on a first date. Drinks, food, nice chat, nothing crazy, it's going well. Then the bill comes, and straight away he slides into the middle and just says, "Should we split it?" There's no, he doesn't look at it, there's no offer, just straight away 50-50. Are you all in or are you folding? I am all in still. If I've had a good date, I wouldn't not see him again just because he wanted to split the bill. Because I do kind of just think, well, and I know I know the girlies might not like this. And don't get me wrong, I always appreciate on a first date when the man offers to pay, especially because, the pay gap, the gender pay gap is real. Especially like if he invited me somewhere like super high end and expensive, then actually I would be offended. I wouldn't want to split it because I'd be like, you've chosen this super expensive restaurant that I might not be able to afford. And I don't think you can go choosing, a crazy expensive restaurant unless you are offering to cover for it. So that's where I stand on that. But if we're in, say, bills, right? Somewhere where, it's very affordable for me. And, I assume for him, if he's chosen it, and we've had a really good date and he says, "Should we split it?" I would split it. I wouldn't love it, but I would be like, yeah, I wouldn't fold, I'd see him again. But I do kind of think if the man earns more money, then generally in your life, like especially if in your relationship, I just don't think it should be 50-50 because you earn more money. So why am I, if we go 50-50, right? If his money's up here and your money's down here, when you were going 50-50, it's taking him down a little bit. It's taking you right down. Like, I'm in the gutter trying to do 50-50, So I think if the man earns more, then I actually just only think it's fair that he pays more. Like a 70-30, just generally. The money thing though, the money thing splits a lot of people. It is like obviously one of the most important things, I think. Like if you're marrying somebody, you've got to be on the same page with money because it can be like a recipe for disaster otherwise, can't it? Okay, sorry. Number 2, let's lock in. You're dating a guy, it's been about a month, 3 to 4 weeks, everything's going good. And then one day you're having a conversation and he randomly says, "Just so you know, I really don't do labels." Are you all in or fold? 100% I'm fold. I'm folding. I'm never seeing you again after that. That, honestly, guys, is the biggest red flag. I mean, if you want something, if you were also like really not seeing anything serious with him, fine, go all in, wherever. If you want a relationship and you're with somebody and they're like, oh, by the way, I don't do labels, like I'm not really, into boyfriend, girlfriend, or, girlfriend, wherever. Boop. No, I'm gone, because that to me, honestly, is code for I don't like you enough. And I'm just not going to stay around somebody that doesn't like me enough to even call me their girlfriend. Sorry. Come on now. Can't even call me a girlfriend. It's because you're not ready to commit to me. Bye, folded. My chips are done. They're on the table. I'm out. Okay. Let me know what you think, guys, obviously, yeah? And last one, picture the scene. Lock in. You met up with a guy for a first date. You've had about 5 minutes with him at the bar waiting for your table. Then finally your table's ready. You get walked through. He pulls out the chair for you, pointers, and he whispers in your ear, this is going really well. Are you all in or fold? Right, there's a few things here for me. Is he saying this is going really well because he thinks he's like being a gentleman and it's like an ego his side where he's like, oh my God, I like you and obviously you like me? Or is he saying this is going really well because I like you so much? And I fear that I would have to believe the latter, in which case I would be all in. I'd be like, oh my God, he's saying it's going so well already. Well, of course it is. Obviously it's going well because you want to be with me. So yeah. Let's see it through. Let's get the drinks in. I'm all in for that. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts. And again, if you've got any stories, please send them in to me. Also, please make sure to subscribe. Make sure to follow on Spotify. And also leave me a little review. We're on 200. We're going really well. I would love to have some new ones now that we're in new setup and hopefully bring in some new listeners in. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it so much. And I'll speak to you next week.